Our guest speaker tonight is Mike Woodall, and he's from Indiana, a sex offender from Indiana, although we prefer to say registered citizen in RSOL, and is here to tell us how to kind of break out of our shells a little bit and speak out more. And I know he's going to be a dynamic speaker because he's a past speaker from our conference in Missouri back in 2012. It seems like just yesterday, doesn't it, Mike?
2011.
11? Was it 11? Yeah, it was 11. And it still seems like yesterday. Maybe the day before yesterday.
It does. It does indeed.
So we're glad to have you back visiting us here on our webcast. And without any further ado, I'll let you finish introducing yourself and let us know what you're here for.
Thank you. And this is Brenda?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Brenda.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Woodall, and I'm excited to be here with you. I've been a registered sex offender since 2000. 15 years, and what a journey. In 1998, I filed for divorce. It was clear I was to receive full custody of my kids. In order to win custody, my wife hired Dr. Myra Burt to extract from my 7-year-old daughter, when Daddy touches my chest, it's a bad touch. I was arrested, and my life hasn't been the same since. I've used my worst nightmare as a springboard back into a life worth having. I speak and write to help others in a similar situation. My book should be out this fall. Instead of spending this valuable time on me, you can view my story on YouTube at reformsol at youtube.com. It's a video presentation of the RSOL conference in 2011. Before we begin, I would like each of you to find a quiet spot, a space where you won't be interrupted. As you set yourself up for no interruptions, I ask that you not take any notes. This session is being recorded for you to go back at another time. I ask that you just be with me, listen, relax, as I take you on a journey. You can always come back for review to just listen. I'm going to be speaking to you, or I am speaking to you, on a topic that I call Speak, a world worth having, into existence. At the end of the session, you're going to learn how to stand in a vision, proclaim that vision to the world, empower and inspire a team, acknowledge your built-in support team, and know your resources. Are you ready to go? Stand in the vision. You just won the lottery. Your windfall brings you the means to do things you've only dreamed about, like travel to exotic places. Since childhood, you have been fascinated with pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge, by stories of Alcatraz, and by movies depicting hilly streets and thrilling car chases. You begin to dream. Before taking any action whatsoever, you visualize and experience the experience before taking any action. San Francisco welcomes you. Your senses come alive as you stroll along Pier 39, past bustling cafes serving fresh seafood. A fisherman, bringing his catch straight from the trawler, flops it on the counter before you. It shimmers in hues of silver and blue. Scant yards to your left, on a weathered gray dock, seals bask in the sun. A sharp breeze cuts a cloudless sky, so you zip up your jacket. You breathe deeply. The coastal air is clean, sweet, and refreshing. Across the sparkling blue waters of the bay, Alcatraz hunkers peacefully, flanked by mountains dappled with white oaks and green. Over your head, seagulls clamor for food, their cries blending with the sounds of the teeming crowd. Just ahead, a mime imitates life with slow, measured movements. You marvel at his quiet art. Its simple beauty touches your soul. A distant streetcar sends out a merry ding, ding, ding. Whatever your vision, whether it's San Francisco or not, it isn't yet. It is still just a vision. You are the visionary. You stand in a vision worth having. You see yourself standing in the vision and you experience it in its fullness. It is good. Anchored there, you come back to the present to get companions for the journey. Then, you pull yourself with them back into your vision where you can share its awesomeness and it becomes real. How do you do this? How do you manifest the vision of a future into reality? You speak it into existence. You stand in the vision, then from there you communicate the vision so clearly that your companions can see it. So clearly they can share the excitement and joy. You speak the vision in terms that let others experience it as you do. They see it, they smell it, taste it, and they feel it through your words as you speak it into existence. It will take many people to bring about the new reality. For your trip to San Francisco, you will need airlines, car rentals, hotels, waiters, even a cab driver or two. Others must see this many parts also. As they begin to share in the vision, they bring their own artistry to the canvas. Someone says, I will contact the car rental company to let them know we will be there 90 days from now. And we will need a mid-sized luxury sedan with a sunroof. Another person, now joined in the vision, proclaims, we will stay in a luxury suite in the Hilton downtown. I will make the reservations today. Yet another voice is heard. We will only dine at the finest restaurant upon arrival. I will book our party for our Carlos at Nob Hill. And so it goes. When you stand in a vision, then communicate to someone in the present about that future possibility. You're speaking it into existence. When successful, they join you in the vision and in speaking it. This is how the vision manifests. You speak it into existence. Reformation of the sex offender laws is quite similar. It isn't yet. There's someone or a group with a vision of the world where there is no public registration. They stand in that vision and pull themselves and the team into that vision by communicating their experience inside the vision. The visionary experiences all the joys, sights, sounds, smells, and each and every emotion of the vision. Then, while anchored there in that future possibility, they speak to others so that they get it. A world without the public registry is much like the trip to San Francisco. One must be able to engage all their senses of sight, smell, and sound available to them in the vision fully, in order to begin the journey of the future worth having. Before we can stand passionately inside our vision, we must first defeat the barrier that does not exist with the trip to San Francisco. You see, there's a stigma barrier that the trip to San Francisco doesn't have. A powerful force that will take a tremendous amount of courage and stamina to overcome. Overcoming the stigma of shame is our first step in the journey. As one, then another steps through this wall, it becomes easier and easier for others to stand in the vision, find their voice, develop the courage to stand, and boldly speak our future possibility into existence. How do we begin to overcome the power of the stigma of shame? Well, the vision must be greater than the stigma itself. The future worth having must be wanted more than the hiding in the closet for fear of being found out. The sting of being found out must be embraced. We must allow the sting to sting. We must stand and allow the sting to manifest. It's amazing what we will discover about our internal strength when we realize the sting is much sweeter than the prison walls of the stigma. Even greater is the amount of other people who will understand, stand beside you, and embrace your vision. Your strength begins to grow. The next step is to create the vision of the future worth having once your stigma is in check. The future that is powerful enough to get you to crack the door and begin to step out. A future so big that its power begins to chip away and overcomes the obstacle of fear. To overcome this, we must logically think out the worst that could possibly happen if we disclosed the stigma. When we do this, we will logically come to the place where the fear is not as powerful over us. For me, I realize there's nothing more that can be done to me. I've endured much more than the fear itself. Logically, I came to the realization that being a registered sex offender is as bad as it gets. There's nothing more they can do to me. With that realization, I became free. I found a peaceful calm and a great sense of hope at the bottom of a hopeless situation. In the very depth of the most hopeless of situations, I learned that hope is all that remains. We must accept our position the government has placed us in. Embrace the stigma attached to it. Then we need to communicate the stigma we experience so that others get it. Once we begin to speak about the stigma, it will start to release its hold on us and eventually begin dissolving into the abyss of irrelevance. What are the characteristics of the life you see worth having? While we are having a vision of something that isn't yet, let's envision the best life possible. Let's envision the life we know we deserve. Visualize it. What does that look like or feel like? What experience do you feel as you mingle with others in the world? What do you see and feel? Imagine the interaction, the conversations. What is everyone talking about? Is the conversation proving evidence of the life worth having? What key elements of our current life will we take with us into the new one? More importantly, what cultural dynamics, negative characteristics, do we see that are better left behind? Envision a life free of all negative dynamics. Envision a life where you lift and encourage all those around you. One, that where you are consistently working toward helping others to overcome their stigma. We must know what the future possibility will be like, what it will feel like, and experience it in its completed form, as we did in the trip to San Francisco. We must fully envision it. Not only that, but experience the full beauty and value, its essence, and then communicate that essence so that others get it. We must speak it into existence. Martin Luther King is the perfect example of what it means to stand in a vision that isn't yet. Then communicate that vision so that others get it. He shows us how to speak a vision into existence. I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen the beloved community. As he speaks about a table where we all break bread together. He describes a vision where all people, regardless of the color of their skin, sit at the table of the brotherhood of man. He shared a dream with such detail, he actually spoke it into existence. It wasn't yet. The first step toward a life worth having requires doing absolutely nothing. Let me repeat that. The first step toward a life worth having requires doing absolutely nothing. It is more in the being realm. As we are envisioning, we are not really doing anything. We are inside ourselves, alone, dreaming, and envisioning an ideal world worth having. We can do it with our eyes closed or while we are working or doing chores. The doing will come later. For now, just dream. Dream big. Dream. Dream and envision the life worth having until you are able to communicate every detail, the very essence, so that others get it. From the very first step out of the closet, you will be standing in that powerful vision as you speak, inspire, and empower the vision into existence. In my opening, I asked you to imagine winning the lottery. You have an abundance of riches never before experienced to tap into. You really don't have to imagine all that much. You see, being a part of RSOL, for me, is like winning the lottery. There's an abundance of riches never before experienced to tap into. There's an abundance of people who give tirelessly to the vision of a world worth having, out of love for the cause. Just look around. They're everywhere. There is an abundance of riches never before experienced, ripe and ready to be tapped into. Do you not see it? Could you be like a fish swimming around in the middle of the ocean, struggling and fighting to survive, eating and trying hard not to be eaten as you live your guarded life, completely unaware of the life-giving water we are submerged in? Our leaders are right in front of us. Take the blinders off and open yourself up to see them. When you can truly see them, they will begin to see you. There are thousands of people ready to support you in the vision of the life you see worth having. Let's begin to vision a life with a registry that works for all. Stand in that vision. Anchor yourself there. Then begin communicating that vision so that others in the world will get it. Proclaim that vision to the world. In other words, speak it into existence. Proclaim is a proclamation. When we are standing in a vision worth having, the San Francisco trip or whatever comes to our own minds, when we are standing there, our senses are alive. Our feel-good receptors are creating a euphoric experience within. We are standing in that future as our future self, basking in the joy of the moment. We can actually visualize the slow, artful moves of the mime. When we come back to the present moment to communicate that awesomeness, proclaim it to the world, we are in a state of vulnerability like no other. Our guards are down as we share about the good news and the wonderful future we see. We are happy and full of joy. There are many people who cannot stand to see others standing in a vision worth having. Maybe it's because they feel it is not available to them, or perhaps they should have it and not you. For them, it just isn't fair for you to experience this bliss, or anyone else for that matter, especially in the sex offender registry world. You will be surrounded by many who will attempt to blow your torch out, to extinguish your flame. Some will feel it is they who should be carrying the torch. They are entitled to it. Life in the future worth having cannot be as good as you're telling people. If they can't have it, nobody will. There will be those coming up right behind you to let the others know how silly it is to think you can speak a future worth having into existence. There may be some sad individual in your life absolutely committed to forming a posse to bring you down, hijack your vision, all because you harness a leadership quality they always aspired to gain, but failed. Walt Disney spoke numerous times to warn us about these people and the effect they have on others. He called them candle blowers. Other authors have described it as like standing against the drift, against the tide, like standing in the ocean with the waves coming against you. In the beginning, you will feel alone. In this vulnerable state, you're like a sponge to what is going on around you. You are overly sensitive, unguarded. Your senses are in a heightened state. You are so aware of other human emotions that it stings when they tell you your dream is not possible, and then hit you with an extensive list of things to validate and justify their poisonous message of no hope. It will be painful to bear at times. You must have the strength to take on all the negative drift coming your way, like water on a duck's back. It just beads and rolls as you keep soaring. If you're lucky, there will be a few in the beginning who look you in the eye and say, "Yes, I can see it too." It will happen, but only if you have the conviction and strength to stand against the drift of negativity until you have enough like-minded team players standing against the drift alongside of you. Living in Florida and California for many years, I know what it is like to be above waist deep in the ocean as the force of the wave comes against me. I also know what it feels like when a cluster of friends stand together enjoying the moment. When there's a cluster of friends, the wave's force is distributed amongst us. The force is not as great. It is deflected to some degree. It is the same in leadership. When a vision worth having is at stake, deflecting the negative comes with the embrace of the power of unity. Deflecting the negative comes with the embrace of the power of unity. You will know them when they arrive. In your heightened state of being, you embody the wisdom to separate the wheat from the tares. This kind of wisdom, found in the vulnerable but enlightened state, is unavailable to the guarded, frail, and fearful. Don't be surprised at who attempts to quash your vision. Those who feel they are closer to you or have some control or power will be the first in line to draw the weapon. This should not be surprising. A great vision can be experienced as a threat to others' interpretations of the way things are. You will not be able to avoid these people. John F. Kennedy couldn't avoid them. Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, all assassinated. They are all dead. Fought for their vision to the very end. If every leader that has been committed to produce significant change in our history couldn't avoid them, what would make you think you will? Expect it. But remember, you're a duck. Let it roll off with a generously kind and forgiving smile as you soar toward your vision. To stand and proclaim the vision worth having, something that isn't yet, takes a courageous and confident leader. Find your voice. Proudly stand and boldly speak the future you see worth having into existence. Why proclaim it into the world? Why do I need to publicly declare my vision? Because when declaring it publicly, you immediately hold yourself accountable, and your audience will hold you to it. It lifts the stakes. If we do not communicate it, it does not exist. If you do not publicly declare it, it is nothing more than an unshared, passing thought or idea. Declaring it into the world activates the universal energy necessary to manifest it. The universe will then start to source everything you need for the journey. Do we wait on some evidence that proves the future possibility is inevitable before proclaiming the vision to the world? Why are we waiting on the evidence? John F. Kennedy didn't wait on the evidence to go to the moon. He stood at Rice Stadium and declared to the world, "We're going to the moon," before there was a ship to carry man. There was no evidence that a flight to the moon was even possible. Martin Luther King most certainly didn't wait on the evidence, and if he did, would the evidence have ever materialized? Was there a table where all people of all colors sit and enjoy God's abundance when he spoke? No. Did he wait for the evidence before speaking and inspiring his leadership team? Real leaders do not wait for the evidence. Leaders create the evidence by standing in the future, living in the present, and they provide evidence of the fact through speaking it into existence. It seems to me, as history has proven, one person stands and declares something that isn't yet into existence. A team of leaders then join in, regardless of the evidence in the immediate environment proving otherwise. In the beginning, there was nothing. Something is not possible without a person first declaring it is. The evidence of its reality always follows. It takes a great deal of faith to really get this. A single leader stands and proclaims a vision publicly. But is he really alone? Is it possible that when he publicly declared a vision into existence, that act in itself activated the power of the universe into unfolding all the needed resources for the journey? When John F. Kennedy spoke, "We are going to the moon," I can imagine a bunch of engineers being immediately energized, inspired, and empowered to make that vision happen. I wonder what their Twitter sphere would have read like. Sound like madness? Every historical leader has something in common. They found their voice, confidently stood, and spoke a future possibility into existence. Something that isn't yet. Stand in the vision. Proclaim the vision to the world. Empower and inspire the team. To empower and inspire and motivate a team of people to declare, "I'm in," takes one major ingredient. You must answer the question, what's in it for me? I call it the WIFM factor. The value that will be received by each team member is critical to communicate, to be successful at building the team. Nobody wants to participate in anything that doesn't have value. The value is not automatic. Values must be communicated. What are the values? Understand why each of us are here listening to this conference call. We must understand why each of us are here right now, listening to the conference call. Why are you here? Why did others join the cause? Why are they here? Is there a common value that is trending within all of us? What value will be received by our village as a whole when our vision is attained? To me, each of us are a part of a village with the need to thrive collectively. We must communicate the value that each of our team will receive. This, in turn, will ignite a spark inside the individual to participate. How do we accomplish this? As you speak, you must stand in the vision and communicate it as a fact, not a potential possibility. Visualize this. Stand in the vision, speak from there about the essence, the values. Speak your vision into existence. This is what motivates others to follow a leader. The leader stands in a vision worth having, throws a rope back to the present, and says, hang on, I'll pull you through. One tug at a time. I know the way. Here's the plan. And yet never leaves the future possibility, standing firmly in that future vision while speaking in the present. There are many people yearning to follow, needing to experience a leader with a vision. They're waiting for you to passionately communicate to them the plan toward a life worth having, eagerly waiting for marching orders. Stand in the vision. Proclaim that vision to the world. Empower and inspire a team. Acknowledge your built-in support team. Folks, this section is going to be short and sweet. You have a built-in support team, we all do, waiting for us to stand, speak, and lead. Your family and friends are all ready and willing, waiting for you to discard the stigma and to find your voice. There are those like me all over the country, already built in, waiting for you to stop being like a fish, unaware of the life-giving water you are submerged in. When you condemn the stigma monster to the dark abyss from which it came, you will begin to see. For once I was blind, but now I see. Stand. Face the sting of shame. Find your voice. Then boldly speak a world worth having into existence. The support team is everywhere. When you see them, they will see you. Your support team will soon outnumber those souls who know nothing but have opinions anyway. Stand in the vision. Proclaim that vision to the world. Empower and inspire a team. Acknowledge your built-in support team. Know your resources. RSOL is all you need to know when needing resources. When you find your voice, develop the courage to stand, then boldly speak, you better have your facts right. You will be taken to task. Have the arsenal of data in your holster ready to go. You'll need it. Inside the portal of the RSOL website is all the resources you will need for the journey. Continually updated facts, spreadsheets, and analysis on just about every topic. Choose a domain and topic you want to specialize in. Perhaps you are someone who wants to speak with senators and congressmen and congresswomen. They are all right there with their phone numbers, email, and office address. If you want to argue current legislation up for vote, you will find that legislation. You will find the facts to back up your speaking points. Perhaps you want to be behind the scenes supporting a vision of a world worth having. You will find an endless amount of opportunities to lead. All the resources you could possibly need can be found there. More than you can possibly use. Your resource team is RSOL. Stand in the vision. Proclaim that vision to the world. Empower and inspire a team. Acknowledge your built-in support team and know your resources. With your proper resources, you're going to be able to speak about solid facts, prevention, restoration, civil liberty, and most importantly, you'll be able to speak about human dignity, which, well, I guess that's why I'm here. What is your future possibility? What, how, and who are you being in that future self? How do you feel? Who are the people surrounding you? What is the full experience in that future possibility? I ask you to experience that experience. We must be fully conscious and aware of the future possibility we see. Be cautious. Whether it is positive or negative, we will speak that possibility into existence. Are we choosing our possibility, or do we feel something or someone else is doing the choosing and fear an inevitable fate of doom lurking in our future self? Be careful. You will speak this into existence also. Be the architect of your future worth having. Yes, the one worth having because you deserve it. Design your space. Stand in that vision. Communicate that vision so that others get it. Stand in the vision. Speak it into existence. Contact your local RSOL organization. Let them know you are ready for a task. My friends, it's been a pleasure to speak. I'm now ready for the Q&A portion.
Hey, thank you very, very much, Mike. I think I've gotten myself off of mute there. That was really great. I'm quite inspired to go out and be a leader now.
Thank you. That's like the best response a person who speaks can get.
If we're ready for Q&A, the numbers that you would press, for those of you who are on your phones or online, is *6. If you're using the online system, there is a little keypad on there that if you click on that, it'll let you press your *6. If anybody has questions, you can press *6 for Mike. And while we're waiting to see if any questions come in, Mike, one of the things that you might want to share with us is, as you were doing a little bit before the call,
mm-hmm.
is how did this change, in your own life? You mentioned that by kind of grabbing hold of it and starting to speak and not letting the shame hang on to you, how did that impact you? I mean, what are some visible ways that this change has been affecting your life?
Well, for me, I experienced at one time, I just didn't think that life could be any more painful than being on the sex offender registry, especially being on there for something that never happened. For the impact that had on me caused me to go in a severe depression where I actually lived in a garage for 4 years. And slowly, with my support team and my friends coming knocking on my door, trying to get me out of the garage, I finally came to a point where it was either a death or life. Because there's no way I'm living like this. And so I chose to step out into the world and use my anger about this to fight for the cause. And that gave me something to live for. So it just gave me life to remove that stigma. It's amazing how just 2 weeks ago I'm with the mayor downtown and 2 city councilmen getting my Facebook picture with both of them. And
your Facebook picture.
Yeah, getting Facebook pictures, and they were posting them on Facebook. And so,
okay.
So it's amazing how sometimes I think we trap ourselves in our own paradigm, and that's why I say the monster of stigma needs to be sent back to the abyss from which it came. And then there is a freedom.
Yeah, I was very, one of the things that I really took from that was the story you were telling before most of us were on, about some kind of serious indignities that were going on where, you were trying to be a helpful neighbor and somebody comes out from the house and chases you off and you're laughing. You're going, oh yeah, he thinks I'm a sex offender. And it was like there's no control. It wasn't grabbing hold of you and sending you into a tizzy. It was just like, oh, ha ha ha, he thinks I'm. And I'm thinking, there's no hold on it.
Once I came to grasp with a reality, and that reality is I can't change things I cannot change. They are. And I just need to embrace them. And once I just came to that realization, it didn't bother me anymore. I looked at them, like I said, in a state of being vulnerable. When someone's standing in a vision worth having, their senses are alive and they're vulnerable. And inside that vulnerability is a wisdom that's unattainable to others who are not vulnerable. And inside that, there's a forgiveness that comes with it naturally. And that when someone does that, I go to, it's funny, in a forgiveness mode because they're just ignorant and it's not their fault. You see, the government's been telling them and spreading propaganda, and they've been lying to them. They think that there's a problem with it just as much as many people were trained that Christopher Columbus discovered America. We all know it's not true. Yeah.
They're
just ignorant. That's all. And we must forgive them. We can't move forward with anger and rage. There's absolutely nothing can be accomplished with the spirit of anger and rage. Peace, love and forgiveness and understanding is what we need to manifest. And to manifest that, we must become that.
Yeah, and I think being having a kind of a positive outlook, which you would be more likely to generate, obviously, if you're keeping that vision you've created in front of you, I think is that helps a good bit, because you're not feeling threatened. You're already in your happy place, so to speak.
And not so much in front of me, but inside of me.
Inside of you, yeah. You're in that happy place, and if you're in that happy place, it's like la la. I mean, I kind of imagine the the scenario where somebody's saying something, and it's like, oh well, yeah. Does anybody have any? I don't think I'm seeing any questions.
Any questions? Did I scare everybody off? Is there anybody else out there?
Yes, there are plenty of people out there. We haven't lost anybody yet.
On the screen, if you guys can still see my screen, the last slide, there's 4 questions. The first question is did you receive value in my presentation? The second question is what stuck with you the most? Can you give me one suggestion for improvement so the next time I present, I can be a better presenter? And can you rate this presentation between a 1 and 5? And I have my email address there. And if you could send that to me, I would really value and appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, and the email address for those of you who are just on the call, it's a pretty easy one. It's speaker2go, and that's the speaker spelled out, the number 2, go, @gmail.com.